Well, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. This is Lois Koffi back for another week, another interview, another opportunity to inspire you as the audience. And just want to welcome you here to it and thank you for taking time out of your Friday as we're heading into this holiday weekend. I'm super excited to have one of my favorite, best, dearest friends here today who's a master influencer known around the world. And if you're just tuning in for the first time because maybe you were invited just recently or you just stumbled upon this here on a Facebook Live event invite, my name is Lois Koffi. I'm a professional speaker, sales trainer, and I actually have a global business that's focused on helping you and everybody I care about sell with excellence and build a life by design and have unlimited possibilities for yourself. And I started this podcast not too long ago. In fact, I think we're like in week 5, and super excited to have the focus each week rotate. So if you'll notice, my website landing page there is healthyandwealthyandwise.com. If you'd like to receive the recording, please go ahead and subscribe. And also this will be found on YouTube and all of the channels. And I really was inspired to create this actually because of the pandemic. And when I reflect back on my life and all that's happened to me and for me in this journey, health and wealth and wisdom were critically important key components. I call it like my holy trinity or trifecta of the most important things to me in this life. And so last week we talked about health. This week we're talking about wealth. And if you listen to my monologue podcast on Monday, which is when the monologue comes out each week, and then Friday is when I bring on a featured guest to do a show and be able to also allow you to ask questions of our guest. I chose Travis, who I'm about to introduce, because he understands social capital better than anyone, better than most people that I've ever met in my life. And to me, that is a definition of wealth, because in life, especially during difficult times like this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic that we're all experiencing right now, there's almost no part of the planet that's not experiencing it. And so for me, it's all about not what I know, but who I know. And that those relationships that I formed over the years that have brought me a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, a wealth of support and love. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Travis Sims today. He's the owner of Accelerated Global Connections. And we're going to talk today about how he has gotten to where he is today through social capital, how that's created a wealth of experience, knowledge, and relationships with him that's brought him to massive amounts of success. Because I know Travis well enough to say that I can speak for both of us that it's not about the money, it's about the relationships and who we meet and help along the way. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you guys to Travis Sims. He's the CEO and founder of Accelerated Global Connections. And I always like to start out the interview with turning it over to my guest and say, Travis, can you just tell us your why? You know, Simon Sinek says, start with why. You know, why do you do what you do? How did you get to where you are today?
Oh, thank you. Lois, first of all, let me say thank you for having me as a guest. It's an honor to be here. Known you for a long time, I almost think of you like a sister. I mean, it's just awesome to be here. So thank you for having me. You asked my why, and it's simple. I love helping people. I mean, it feeds my soul, and especially when it comes to business. Like, there's no better joy for me than to connect two people that's going to help one another. It's going to have an impact for each other, whether that's doing business, whether it's a new friendship or it's a new referral partner. And I just know that that's going to make a difference in people's lives in so many ways, whether it's not only for friendships and business, but how it impacts the vacations they're going to be able to take, how they're going to be able to send their kids to college, you know, how they're going to be able to pay their mortgage this month. You know, it just makes such a big difference. And that's my why. It's what I love doing.
That's awesome. You know, I think we've known each other for only 4 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember anymore because, like you said, you're like a brother. You're like a brother to me, and we speak that same language of networking. And I'd love to share or have you share more of your story because I know we both grew up on a farm or we've grown up in
Yeah.
farming communities. And I think that was a foundational principle for both of us on how to,
Yes.
quote unquote, be a farmer versus a hunter
Yes.
in business and in life. And tell me how did you arrive to that discovery yourself? How did you get to be like, I think you said you have 10,000 relationships or something like that, where you stay in touch with people and you stay in front of people. And for a lot of people out there, networking in this new normal
Yeah.
is very can be very scary. So why don't you share a little bit more about your background and how you got to be so good at networking?
I love networking. And first of all, I came from a very small country town in Indiana. I love the town that I grew up in. I love our community. It's a very safe place in America to live, to work, and to raise a family. And it's very much a limestone mining community. Bedford, Indiana is where I'm from. All the major buildings and monuments in Washington were made from Bedford limestone. It's what they're famous for. But you're right. Farming and always having a garden and hunting and all those things are things that I grew up around. My parents instilled a huge work ethic in me as a child. I watched them run their own business. I got a full education in watching them create and run a business. And I grew up understanding I'm the oldest of eight, and that it really is about, and my dad told me this. My dad was one of those guys. I had the benefit of sitting side by side in a truck with him every single day at a formative age, because he ran a lawn care and landscaping company, and I was the number one weed eater man. so I got this education, and dad would say things like, son, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Son, if you can be anything in life, be on time. And he,
Oh,
he was just full of all these great nuggets. And I believe those things still today. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And more importantly, it's not just who you know, but it's how authentically you've connected to them. What level of relationship you have with them, what level of trust that you have that's going to make the difference. Now, these lessons I learned at a young age translated into how I was formed as an adult. And as I started growing and building my own businesses, and started networking myself and understanding and building that network and coming from zero to hero, so to speak, of working my way up through those relationships and that trust cycle, and just love networking and helping others.
so much so that now it's your full-time career, right? So I
Yes.
was I was I was there when you launched Accelerated Global Connections, and global is in the name. So I'm here in Southern California. Full disclosure. So even though I left Minnesota, you and I are still connected, and I'm still a member of your global organization. So tell us a little bit more about Accelerated Global Connections, so that the audience
Yes.
knows kind of what you got going on.
Well, thank you. You mentioned being full time in networking. I've been in full time in networking for 15 years. I'm a networking coach. I enjoy working with people one to one. I enjoy working with them in teams and groups and masterminds. I've helped people build communities and networks and do networking and teaching world leaders for the last 15 years how to do it effectively and get the most out of their network and have the most success doing it. And just a year and a half ago, we launched AGC, which is Accelerated Global Connections. We're a community network with a global impact. It's Minnesota made, it's Minnesota born, but we are now expanding all across the globe with AGC. And it's very different than most networking organizations. Taking my 15 years of experience of working in multiple networks, there are 5 different types of networking. Closed networking, open networking, service networking. There's associations, there's online. There are many multiple types of networking, and I've had leadership roles in many of them. And taking some of the experiences that I gleaned from those organizations and trying to fill a gap or a need, I looked at how are people networking today differently than they did 100 years ago, 35 years ago? How many of them, how are they purchasing differently? How are they using technology differently than they did all those years ago? And that helped create AGC. I started looking at the gaps. I started looking at how millennials are buying and how they're networking, and seeing a decline in networking in the last 10 years. And how could we fill that void? And how can we revamp that and grow that? And so AGC is in the open category of networking. So we're similar. I think the closest thing you could compare us to is a chamber, although because it's very event driven. So think tons of people, huge crowds, in-person events, and online. So we, in the last year, our average audience size would be 75 to 100. But since going online, we're now reaching, 300, 500 views in a live broadcast. Because our broadcasts are all centered around like a TED Talk type of experience. It's about getting motivated together, being inspired together, being educated together, and sharing the common experience and using that common experience to build our relationship. So I don't know if that answered your question, but if you have questions that came out of that, I'm happy to share.
Absolutely. This is a kind of a, I love that. That's why I do this live as well,
Yeah.
is I even put this in the comments. If someone has a question for Travis, don't hesitate, or for me, throw it out there. And you touched on a bunch of things near and dear to my heart, because I rode along with my dad in the pickup truck for many, many, many times. And, that really taught me how to communicate with people. And like you said, I was used to seeing my dad making phone calls, right? And when I got into sales at 22, guess what? I made phone calls. However, now there's this thing called Facebook. There's this thing called Zoom. There's all of these different, like, I think I have not one, not two, but 5 different apps on my phone to communicate. It's funny when someone actually hears my voicemail on my phone and they're actually calling me, they're like, "Oh, Lois, I never knew you had such a really cool voicemail." And I'm like, yeah, that's because we don't call each other as much. And some people, they don't, like you and I, we communicate on apps 90% of the time.
We do, yes.
Um, However, when it comes to sales, and we're calling it networking in the new normal, because you also just wrote an ebook that's coming out
Yes.
on June 1st. How does someone make that transition? Because I've been there. I remember in the Great Recession, I went from face to face, belly to belly, always talking to people, kissing babies, shaking hands, or vice versa, and getting out there. And now, then, when the recession happened, I was forced to learn how to sell from home and how to network from home. And a lot of people are facing that right here, right now, and they miss your events. You had amazing, amazing live in-person events and happy hour and all these fun things. And now people can't do that. They gotta come and attend. More people can attend, but what did you, just if you could share like a couple of tips or nuggets from your book to how to network in this new normal with excellence?
Happy to, and thank you for asking. The blessings. I always look at everything that comes our way as what can we learn from it? How can we adjust from it? What blessings can we take away from the experience we're in? And you and I both have the foundation of having lived through 9/11, having lived through the recession and come out on the other side of it. I've been where I've been in that spot where I had $5 in my pocket and no house to live in and wondering what my next move is going to be. I've been there and I survived that and I overcame that. And we're going to overcome this too. The pandemic, wherever you're at in the world and whatever you're experiencing, whatever your new normal is right now, you're going to be on the other side of it and it's going to be okay. And so it inspired me to start writing. In the last 2 months, as many of us have been sheltering in place or we're safer at home, all those terms, and it caused me to get creative. I'm thankful for the blessing of the time that I've been given to be able to write new content, create new videos, create new direction and new, just lots of available content to be able to share and get out, things that I probably wouldn't have had time to do otherwise. And so I wrote this new book. It's about 30,000 words, and it is entitled Networking in the New Normal. And I wanted to write it because I think, when I listen to the news, and all of us have, I'm guilty. When you listen to the news, they use words like social distancing and isolation and all these negative terms. And I'm like, you can't afford to self isolate if you are a business owner, if you are a salesperson. You can't social distance. Now, I understand physical distancing. You might want a physical distance, but you can't afford not to be social if you are a business owner or a salesperson. You need to insulate yourself right now with a strong network that continue to help you grow your business. And so I wrote this new book called Networking in the New Normal. And this may or may not surprise you, but there's not a lot of changes. It's still do the same things you should have been doing all along. People have been saying, if you found yourself in this, like, oh my gosh, I've been doing transactional business. I don't have a relationships. I don't have a network around me. If you found yourself in that place, you've got to start now. And it's not too late, but you have to start now, and you have to start connecting authentically, and you're going to have to do it online. It's the world we're in right now. So networking in the new normal is still never come into a relationship with what can I get? It's always how can I give? It's how can I help others? It's being that servant style leader and coming into that new relationship going, I'm either going to make a new friend, I'm going to make a referral partner, or I might get a sale or a new prospect or a new customer from this. But it's going to be a positive experience no matter what. And you're going to develop the relationship and trust that comes from that. And you're going to do it through a variety of ways: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Zoom, things like podcasts and StreamYard and things like this. So yeah, lots of the old things in a new way.
I love it. And I'm going to give you some testimonials because, as we all know, facts tell, stories sell, right? I'm a sales trainer, so it's one of my favorite things to teach people is what can you share that is a success? Hey, Kathy. Hey, Mel. We have some people chiming in.
Yeah.
I have 3 success stories, and then if you think of one that you would like to share, I'd love for you to share. Since you founded AGC specifically. Number one of my dearest friends that I met a year ago when you first started is Lee Skolzinski. And right now we talk almost every day. We're helping each other. He's even babysat my kids, which is a big,
Yeah.
big thing, right? To give almost a brand new person that level of trust, but you're attracting high caliber, high quality giver type people. Another testimonial since you pivoted to online, and I don't even know if you know this, but Catherine Barrow from Mexico, she and I connected right when you shifted and you started your new private Facebook group, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But now she performed her amazing music remotely on my kid's birthday party for my husband's 50th birthday tomorrow. She's created some stuff I can't say because it's supposed to be a surprise. But she's also helped me with Facebook and just different ways we've been helping each other. It's not even about sales. It's about how can we get through this thing called life and COVID together and lean onto each other. It's just been tremendous. And then, of course, the opportunity to speak to your crowd. And I know you're always looking for amazing speakers. I'm still, getting connected with people from that one talk that I did. So what you're doing, it offers up life-giving, life-changing, transformative value. And I just want to make sure everyone understands that because there's a lot of online things right now, right? A lot of groups, meetups, and different things have pivoted. I was invited to something the other day and like only 2 people showed up and there was like no value. And I was kind of like, why am I here? I don't have time to waste, but you have put so much thought and value into AGC that you're only, like you said, 18 months in and you've impacted my life and many, many, many other people's lives. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I've always felt when developing AGC, and my banner, you can't see it all behind me, but our tagline, our mission, our statement of impact is community network, global impact. So the word community, it's all about community. So when a worldwide pandemic happens, events get canceled. Like they canceled the NBA, right? They canceled those events. A lot of meetings got canceled, but you can't cancel a community. A community of people bind together. They circle like the old days, they circle the wagons, right? They circle the wagons and they say, all right, what are we going to do? And they take a teamwork approach and a teamwork mentality. And AGC, Accelerated Global Connections, is a community. It's a community of people that want to learn together, want to be inspired together, want to be motivated together, that want to help one another, want to help each other pass referrals and close more business and share great ideas and mindsets. And how can we help each other in this time, during this time, and well after this time? Let's do it together.
Yep, it's amazing, and I'm so grateful that I've even though I live in California, still able to connect with you guys.
And business is happening. We had a $500,000 referral take place inside AGC in the last month.
Whoa,
One transaction. And I'm not saying that's the norm, that happens every day, but I'm saying business is happening. I sent 5 referrals myself just this week alone. It all happened online. There was no face-to-face anything. There were 5 referrals sent, 5 quality referrals this week alone. Just me. And you times that, in 1 year's time, AGC hit 400 members while we were still face-to-face. And by the way, that's like 3 or 4 times the industry standard. It was growing at a tremendous pace. But when you take hundreds of people like that have the mentality of we're going to work together, we're going to help each other, it just doesn't stop. There's no stopping it. It's just going to continue to grow and prosper and carry on. And it's because of the culture that's created. There, and I don't remember who said this, but long ago, it's long ago, they said culture eats strategy for breakfast. And culture is always the key. If you can create the culture in an organization, then people are attracted to it and great things happen to it because of that.
That's awesome. I didn't say that exact quote, but 110%. And you have, how many events per week do you have online right now?
Yeah, we have typically 1 event per week, although we have 5 formals. So we call them AGC Talks, similar to a TED Talks. They're online live broadcasts. You can find it in our Accelerated Global Connections public Facebook group. It's available for free. And inside that group, there's daily networking activities to keep people engaged, to get people starting conversations and networking and sharing business. And there's an exclusive group that's only for members. There's some really big benefits. There's some exclusive content in that group, and tons of other available things for our members. However, for the general public, there's lots of opportunity there. But we have 5 live AGC Talks broadcasts that happen every single month there. We have a Coffee with the CEO event. We have a happy hour event. Those are all happening by Zoom. And our AGC Talks events, they're too big to host on Zoom. There's no way for me to do that and do it effectively when you got 300, 500 people watching live. But we do have interactive question and answer time with the speaker, which is awesome. And we're working on lunch and learns. There is a lot of activity. Like if you're in a spot like me right now, where you're using this time to, okay, where can I absorb more education? Where can I get more knowledge? Where can I get more creative? Where can I get more relationships? Then this is a great place to do it.
That's awesome. And I sort of preempted, normally I close out with this, and don't worry guys, we're not done yet because I have a couple more questions, but I did share your links. I shared your public Facebook group that anyone can get access to. And then I did share your website just so people can kind of scout out AGC and really just appreciate all the value that you create. You've already shared a testimonial. Is there any other powerful testimonials? I know you yourself are the referral king. I do believe you met your wife through networking, and
I
she was a
did.
referral, right?
He's my number one best referral ever. My wife and I were introduced through networking. Her best friend and my close friend were networking together, and they said, "We need to fix poor Travis up. He just can't find a good girl." And they introduced me to my wife, and we dated for about 4 years and then got married just 9 months ago. And she by far is my best referral ever. And when you're talking about, I'll segue, because when you're talking about your podcast centering around wealth and social capital and all those things, money, when people ask you, well, what is your definition of success, or what is your definition of wealthy? For me, it's not money. It's not the things that I can buy. There's that phrase, your network is your net worth. And I absolutely believe that 100%. Like, there is no amount of money that's more valuable to me than my relationship with Lois Koffi. There's no amount of money that's more valuable to me than the relationships that I'm developing and building inside my network. It is always all about the relationship. It's who could you call right now and say, hey, I need a place to come and have dinner. I need a place to lay my head down. Would you help me? I'm looking for a referral for this thing. Do you know someone? And you have people jumping to help you. That's when you know that you have created social capital. And I just gave you just a few little examples, but there are lots of ways to understand that you are a wealthy person because you have built a strong network.
I love it. I love it. And not only a strong network for referrals, but just that abundant philosophy. I know you're creating a mastermind group. I'm a sales trainer, right? And I know you don't have exclusivity. Like you said, it's kind of like a chamber where it's open.
Yes.
So you
Yep.
could have 5 of this, 10 of that, 20
Yep.
of that globally. I had a great one-to-one with Sean Waite, another fellow sales trainer. And we were both like, hey, we might technically do the same thing, but we can help each other. We can lock arms and be able to give referrals, and if not referrals, ideas, because that's what I love about networking too, is, one idea that you might share with me could make me $1 million. And again, it's not about the money. I'm sharing more about that just ideation, that masterminding. Napoleon Hill writes about it in Think and
Yes.
Grow Rich.
Yes.
And so I'm just really want to bring that home, and I'm so glad you segued into that. And even just the education platform that you have, I know once people become a member, they have access to limitless amounts of education, and knowledge is power. However, the application of that is wisdom. And there's a lot of quote unquote professional networkers out there pushing stuff on Facebook. I get messages all the time from people trying to sell me stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just would rather refer them to Travis and AGC, so they obviously I can train them too, as
They can learn.
that's one
Yes.
of my specialties. But it's really about, people deserve to know how to network and how to give referrals instead of just, hey, buy my stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's the networking disconnect in that, people are always coming to an event with, have something to sell. Would you like to buy my stuff? And the problem is no one's there to buy. They're not coming there to buy. And it really is. You mentioned farming versus hunting. I translate that in. It's the tortoise and the hare approach. It's going to be that long-term thing, but the tortoise is going to win the race because they took the time to build the relationship. They invested within the relationship. They built the social capital with the person before they ever asked for the sale. Sell last. It's always, build a relationship first, sell last.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if anybody has any questions, please shout out a question, because we're getting close to the end here. And you sort of already answered this next question. I ask this of everyone. The title of my podcast, again, is Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, because those are 3 areas that I'm passionate about. You touched on the wealth piece, but when you hear the phrase healthy and wealthy and wise, Travis, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm someone that really focuses on keeping life in balance. And that's why I love the title of your podcast. I think it's absolutely brilliant because all three of those things help create balance in life. And it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, if you're not healthy, you have to take care of your body first, right? There are people on their deathbed right now with millions of dollars in their bank account and wishing that they could buy the health that they need to survive. And so healthy always comes first. I'm going to say that you're going to need the wisdom to become wealthy. And that's continuing to, build your knowledge base, your education base, your relationship base, be wise about those things, and the wealth will come. And it'll come whether that's in a monetary form, whether it's in a relationship form, or whatever it is, but it will always come. And I would rather die the wealthy man because I had the most relationships, the most people who will remember me and my legacy will live on than to take all the money with me.
Awesome. Yeah, because you can't take it with you.
No, you can't spend it. So it wouldn't help.
Awesome. Well, I know we covered, networking in the new normal. How does someone get access to your book once it's released? Can
Oh, thank you.
you share that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. My website, my personal website, not the AGC one, but if you go, it's simple. My name, TravisSims.com. So Sims is with one M, so SIMS, so TravisSims.com. If you go there, there'll soon be on June 1st, you'll see a way to pop up and get that ebook. It's been a labor of love. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, and being blessed with the time in the last 2 months to get creative and write it. And I really felt like the need was there right now because there are so many people operating in fear right now, going, oh my gosh, I didn't build a network, or I don't know how to build a network and I need to start. Or how am I going to build a network if I can't go to an event or a meeting? And how to do it in today's new norm. So I felt the need was there. I put it together and it's ready to roll out.
That is so cool. You made me think of one of my favorite quotes. You don't have to be great to start.
Yes.
You do have to start to become great.
Yes.
And so people that are listening right now, it's never too late to start building your network and your social capital, and keeping in touch with them. And you're inspiring me, Travis. I need to get my ebook out there on my Koffi is for Closers sales formula and how to follow up with a lead with excellence and close it or create a referral partner. All of those things are invaluable and not always taught in companies or in organizations. So that's why people feel lost about where they're going. I already shared it, but I'm going to share it again because we've had quite a lot of chat going on. But your private Facebook group, they can just join that, right? Is there anything else you want to share about the purpose of that group or what they can find by being a part of it?
Sure. Yeah. Inside it's all spelled out, Accelerated Global Connections, public Facebook group. They're going to ask you like 3 questions like, hey, we're going to want your email address. What do you hope to get? What do you hope to give in this group? And it's going to let you straight in. It's free. It's just for you. By the way, we launched that group just about 8 weeks ago, and it's up over 1,300 members for you to connect with in just a short amount of time. And it's growing daily. And it's such a fun environment because people are not coming in there just posting all their things for sale. They're really in there to get to know each other. And I love that. Every single day, there's a structured daily networking topic. And you comment and share based upon the topic. So it gives you some direction because many of us, you don't know how to network or where to start. This gives the direction on what to do each day. And then, of course, our live broadcast happen inside those groups as well. And it's just fun to watch together because you can ask questions with the group and you can interact with the group while we're doing our broadcast. And it's just it's a really fun and healthy place to start or to grow your network. So I encourage you, please, yes, join us in Accelerated Global Connections public Facebook group.
And I love it. I have to give you one more kudos is trust me, everybody and their brother has a Facebook group. And I've lost count. Maybe I'm in 50 at this point.
Yeah.
and it's just like railroad tracks after a while, and I should probably leave at least half of them because they have no value, because there's no relationship behind it. Just someone invited me, and we're not, they're not doing this with me. I am an old school person. I'm not going to buy from something I see you post on Facebook or LinkedIn. I still want to have a conversation and get to know you and your heart. And so I just want to encourage people, if you're wanting to have relationships and you're wanting to build something online right now and networking in this new normal, please check out Travis's group. It's been phenomenal.
Oh, thank you, Lois. I'm so glad you're part of it, and it's fun to have a member in California now. We have members all over, in several states. We launched in Minnesota, but it's developing and growing in several states. But you're in California. I love that. So thank you for being a part of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. And I mean, Travis, do you have any closing thoughts, any other words of wisdom before we wrap it up?
I would just use this opportunity to say thank you to those who stuck with us, who watched us during this time and hung in. And I appreciate you for tuning in. And hopefully we gave you some kind of words of wisdom. And thank you again, Lois, for having me on the podcast. It's been my pleasure, my treat, my honor to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you again. Like you, I've been using this extra time being at home, launching my podcast during COVID, and I was on your podcast. I'll actually post that interview on here in the comments too, if anybody wants to check out Travis's podcast and hear me speak. But thank you for your inspiration, your friendship, and your great wisdom today. We had a lot of great comments in the comment section. So thank you again, guys. If you would like the actual recording or to follow my actual podcast, again, go to healthyandwealthyandwise.com. Subscribe. Next week is going to be the wisdom piece. And Travis, of course, shared a ton of wisdom every week. I have an expert. Next week is Dean Hebert from Phoenix, Arizona. He's a certified mindset coach, a mental game coach, and he's going to be talking about the power of perception and how our perceptions right here, right now, either bring us forward towards our dreams or they take us back. And I know that there's a lot of people right now struggling with mindset and needing that extra boost. So I'm looking forward to you to tune in next week, same time, same line. Again, Lois Koffi here with Healthy and Wealthy Wise. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.